in the live session. So you can Skype each other, you can text each other, you can call each other. It doesn't really matter to me, as long as you're not talking to each other while having your audio on, so it doesn't disrupt the class. And so so it's completely up to you. Now, if you go this week to the live session, next week it's going to be somebody else. And so the people that are going on Saturday this week are going to go on Sunday next week. So that way, in a cycle of 4 different cases that we do together, everybody's going to have a chance to join this meeting. But everybody should have the opportunity to learn and to participate as much as they can. I hope that answers some of your questions. So I'm not sure how to add the X-ray in case 1. Will we discuss how to do this? I'm not sure what you mean by add the X-ray, so let me know. What time are we meeting tomorrow and how are we presenting exactly? So tomorrow, it's going to be dependent on what time, whatever time it is that you're going to be assigned. So on that list that I put out there, Med Students 1 is going to go at 8 a.m. Pacific time to 9 a.m. And then the next group is going to go 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. And so, and then the next day it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8. And so those timings are there so that you know what time your class is going to go and you are able to pick the person that's going to join me. And the rest should be available on YouTube and available to talk. And so to your class. So just keep an eye out. So keep an eye out for that sign up and look at the time that you were assigned on that last post that I did. Let me know if that's not clear. What's up? It's up? Okay. Do you know the code? The link? There should be a share link, and just post it in here. And then tell Sada to put it on Facebook.
Okay. Also, this isn't a battery, so I'm going to
That's fine. That's fine.
and then just post.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So the live stream is also up on YouTube. If you guys want to go check it out and see, so that you let me know if it's up and running, if there's bad audio, if there's a delay, all that stuff. I'd appreciate it. For the case, okay. For the case presentation tomorrow, is the format supposed to be like history and physical exam? Like, yeah. So we're gonna go through that exactly. And so what I am gonna do, it's gonna be a little different because you know the case itself, but I will start with the chief complaint is chest pain and shortness of breath. And then I will say, Ramin, Dr. Ramin, what do you want to know next? And so you will tell me, when did the chest pain start? And so I'll tell you, and then you'll ask, how long is it lasting? Where is it radiating? So you're going to pretend like I am the patient, but I'm also going to guide you at the same time. And so as we go through the history, if we, for whatever reason, forget something that I think is crucial to the case, I will let you know what that is so that you're not just going blindly in the dark. But when you ask for something, if I think there's a good teaching point to it, I will ask you, why is it that you're asking that? I hope that makes sense. And then we'll go through it through the physical exam, through the labs you want to order, and also through the imaging you want to order. And every time we go through each of the sections, I'm going to ask you if anybody wants to change their differential diagnosis, add anything from it, and take anything away. So that way we're narrowing down the differential or broadening it if things aren't making sense. I hope that makes sense. Are the answers for the pre-quiz posted? Just really curious the answers. They're not. I am going to post those probably after. So what we're going to do is after the meeting next week, everybody should do their post quiz. And so I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do the same questions for the post quiz. That's why I haven't posted the answers to this or let you guys know what your score was. But after everybody does the post quiz, I'll let you know what your score is, and we will actually go through all of the questions together because each question has a learning point that I want to talk to you guys about. So my hope is that with this week and next week's cases, we'll go over topics within each of those test questions, so you'll be able to get all of those questions right. Hope that helps. So how should we prepare for tomorrow? look over the readings that I sent you just to get to be familiar with like the topics. I was supposed to post more videos to guide you, and I'll post some tonight once we're done with this. But unfortunately, I've been called to work more than I had expected, and so I'm behind. So I will post those videos for the big case. This is going to be just kind of like a practice run, um, but use the handouts that I gave you to help prepare. Okay. And then if you have any questions now, you can ask me about them now. So the case says the patient denies chills, but I couldn't find any info about it on Google. What is denies chills? I don't know if I misspelled denies, but that was supposed to be denies. So if you're asking what chills are, it's like shivering. So if you ever had the flu or a bad cold and you start to shiver, that's what chills are. So in our group before, you do send one person, yes. Is the YouTube live going to be saved so we can watch later for those who can't attend? Yeah. So it will be saved. So there's going to end up being about 8 hours of class time or 7 hours of class time on YouTube. And so I will label it with your class name. And so just go to that class name and watch that if you're not able to watch it live. Will the time be the same each week? I have church some weeks. So no. So the people that are going Saturday this week are going to go Sunday next week. And the reason why, I mean, I figured that church would be a problem. I figured the people in the class who are Jewish are gonna that aren't able to work on Saturday are not gonna be able to do that too. So I try to factor that in as much as I can, but unfortunately I can't do it any other days of the week. So for now, it's just gonna be Saturday and Sunday. Is there a difference between rounds on the third? Are they the same? Are we assigned a time for both weekends or just one weekend? So so they are not the same. So the ones this weekend are going to be, the case from this weekend is going to be different from next weekend. Next weekend you're not going to know any information about the actual case. Just you're going to just know the chief complaint is chest pain, and so that's all you're going to know. And so you're going to come in blind, but all the information that you learned over the last week or so, you're going to be able to use to actually solve the case together. And so whatever time you're assigned this week for Saturday or Sunday, it'll probably be the same time, just the other day. So if you are Saturday at 5 o'clock, or Saturday at 8 a.m. This week, you're going to be Sunday 8 a.m. next week. And so decide within your group, if anybody's unable to attend the one particular day, make sure that they go the next week. And then same with the future cases as well. You're just going to have to coordinate within your group. I sent an email to my group of 4, haven't heard back yet. So the form that I put out yesterday is really important because, and if you guys haven't done that form, do it, because by midnight, whoever hasn't done that form, I am going to send them an email. They'll have 24 hours to respond, but if they are not active in this class, I am going to drop them and add somebody from the waitlist, because there is a lot of people waiting to join the class, and it's not fair to everybody in the class if you're not participating. And so tell your group members, send them an email, let them know that that's what the deadline is, because honestly, if you're not able to participate, you're taking away education from other people, because you're going to learn more from your peers than you would necessarily from me. And there's a lot of value in talking these things out. So I want to make sure you get the best experience possible, and we can't have that if people aren't participating. So I hope that answers your question. I haven't been added to a group. Can you add me? If you haven't been added to a group yet, I am working on it. I have my sister helping me out, because it was way too much for me to do and try to create the content for you guys. So what we will do is I will try to add you as soon as I can. If I can't add you this cycle, it'll be, or for this weekend, it'll be for the next weekend. But keep up to date with like the materials that I post out, watch the videos, watch the streams, and you'll be up to speed. And if you're not, you can always message me. We can kind of figure it out. So are we supposed to come up with a plan as well as a differential? I would want you to come up with both if you can, focus on the differential, because the differential diagnosis and coming up with your diagnosis is the hardest part. The plan is easy because you can, if you know what your diagnosis is and you have a good indication and you have a good reason why your diagnosis is what it is, you can always look up the plan. And so for residents and for med students, the plan stuff isn't as important as trying to find what the actual answer is. And so once you find that right answer, if you don't know what to do, you can always look it up. But if you're looking up the wrong answer, you can potentially hurt a patient. So I want you to focus on the differential and narrowing it down to what your actual diagnosis is. But we will talk about some of the plan. And if we don't do it, if we run out of time, we'll talk about it a little bit later. So yeah, so if your group hasn't reached out or they say they're too busy, just let them know to email me and let me know so that we can put somebody else in their spot. Because there's a lot of people that want to join the class. So yeah, and then just let me know too. For high school students, do we all attend the meeting? Just like so high school is different because I'm not able to live stream it because a lot of you are minors and I want to protect your privacy. And I also felt like parents might not want to have their child live streamed, and I completely understand that. So everybody's going to join the class. It'll be a closed session, and it'll be a little bit more difficult to call on each and every one of you. But I'm hoping by the time we're done with the case series, all the different cases we're going to do, I'll be able to talk to at least hopefully everybody. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to call you individually or call you by group, but have an open line of communication between you and your group. I sent an email in my group, only one person replied. What should I do? Same thing, just talk to that person, coordinate with that person, try to get the most out of it with that one person, and just let me know. Yes, so we will go over how to read X-rays either tomorrow or put a video up. If I can't put a video up on how to read X-rays, I will go over reading it with you. But if I do put it up, just watch the video, and we're going to try to attempt it tomorrow. But I don't expect you guys to be experts in really anything. So don't stress about not knowing an answer. We're all here to learn. Okay. So whatever our Google Classroom name is right now, for example, Resident 2, that's when we're presenting. Yeah, so if you are Resident 2, you're going to go tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, okay? So just look at what I posted up. So what are the times for each group? Were the times already posted for each group in the classroom? Yeah, so in the last post or the one before it, I put all the different times that everybody's going to go. Depending on your class. So one class is going to go all together at that same time. Yeah, I was supposed to, I think the YouTube isn't working. It's not working now? It's working on your end. Okay, thank you. So we pick who's joining. Yeah, so you're going to pick who is joining this week. And whoever's joining this week is not going to join next week or the next few weeks until everybody is able to attend one session. You will stay in the same groups for the next case. The case says the patient has I meant to say denies chills. That was a typo on my end. I will try to fix it if I have time, but it means denies chills. If we want to participate on the research end, we'll be receiving, yeah. So I need to see how this goes and see what information we can potentially gather and what we would be writing about to do research. But I do hope to write something up about this. And so if we are going to do that, I will let you guys know, and whoever is, I guess, interested, they can let me know, but I'll send you guys an email. Should we have a diagnosis by the meeting tomorrow? You should have a differential. So you should have what you think is going on with the patient. You should consider having, of each of those differentials, why one thing is more likely than the other, just within your notes. And you don't have to have a set diagnosis, but by the end of the session, I would want you to have a diagnosis. So you can still be considering different things, and as the case goes along, you can answer what you think it's going to be. But try your best to have a diagnosis, because you learn the most in medicine by being wrong. So every time you're wrong, that's a learning opportunity for the next time. And so if you have a wrong answer, you can look back and say, well, why was I wrong? What led me to costochondritis versus GERD or versus acute coronary syndrome, and how did I go astray? And then that way you can look back and see next time when you see another case, what are some of the things that you're going to look for to help you get into the right direction. So I hope that helps. If your group mates do not answer by tomorrow, should you attend on your behalf? Yes, you should, but just keep an eye out for the sign-up form. I'm only going to be sending the links to come to the live meeting through that sign-up. So if you see somebody else in your group already signed up, but you haven't talked to them, try to get in contact with them, try to figure it out, because I will only have one slot per group. So are the readings divided by level we should read, or do you recommend high school students try to read the higher levels as well? I encourage you to read everything. Whatever you can do, whatever makes sense to you, do it. I think some of you have read all of them, which is great. And I know some of you said that the readings were a bit too hard, which is also fine. It really depends on what your comfort level is. And so if you can't get through the harder readings, it's okay. It's fine. Especially like the high school students, I don't expect any of you guys really to know anything. And my job here is to teach you what I can so that you are able to have a discussion about what's going on with the patient. Are the reading, okay. How does the rounds work? I know one person goes to the meeting, but does that person get a link or do we contact? Yeah, so I will send you guys a link, the ones that are going to be coming to the meeting. Only one person is going to be attending the meeting. So if our group is 8 residents, then we should only attend Sunday. Yes, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. By the way, in the video, I put, I think I put 8 to 12 p.m. and people thought that was like 12 midnight, and it's not. It's 12 noon. So I'm not going to make the East Coast people be up at 3 in the morning. So I hope that helps. Okay. So yeah, so group 42, if you guys are the only ones there, that's okay. Just make sure that so if somebody else signs up that you haven't been in contact with, just let me know. I'm going to put out an Excel sheet and you're going to see who's signing up. So everybody can keep everybody accountable, and so we don't have like issues with 2 people signing up or whatever. So just let me know if there's issues. Yeah, because it's only one person. So if our group is 8 residents, yeah, I answered that. Will there be a post quiz after both weeks or just after? It'll only be after June 6th. June 7th. So on the 6th, you will have, we'll meet for the groups that are going on the 6th, and you'll be able to do the post quiz after that meeting. And I highly suggest right after you do the meeting, just do the post quiz to get it out of the way. And the ones that go on Sunday, you're going to have until, I believe, 5:00 p.m. to get it done. So just do it as soon as you can, because I'm going to have a meeting with everybody who wants to come in to discuss all the quiz questions. So just keep an eye out for that. You have to complete the history and physical sheet for the case. You don't have to. That's more a guide for you, so you can organize your information, but you can do whatever you want. High schoolers will all join together in the same group. Are the terms EKG and ECG interchangeable? Yes, they are. EKG, I think, is the German, and ECG was the English, if I'm remembering right. All the groups have the same sample cases. Not everybody's going to have the same main case next week, I think. I'm still having to decide that. Okay. Can I explain a differential diagnosis more? What am I exactly looking for? So a differential diagnosis is basically just a list of things that you think is going on with the patient. there are different ways to develop a differential. You can do it by systems where you think, okay, what is going on in the heart? What's going on in the lungs? What's going on in the stomach that could potentially be contributing to this patient's symptoms? That's one way of doing it. There's the way where you just kind of rank the what you think is more likely and what's less likely. It's really up to you. I will try to put a video out later today so that you can see what exactly is a differential and how I would develop my differential with some of these systems. But it is up to you to decide if you want to use that or not. Sorry, I had to mute somebody because their mic was on and it was loud. Okay, I think I'm really behind on questions, so I'll go faster. Are we still submitting the form if all of our members are in contact? Yes, submit the form because it's a way for me also to see who has been active and who hasn't. So whoever doesn't fill out the form by today, by midnight Pacific time today, I will send you an email and you'll have basically 24 hours to reply. And if you don't, then I have to drop you from the class because it's not fair for other people who want to join the class or for other people that want to contribute and talk amongst their peers to have a group that's not active. So just a heads up. So if you know some of your people in your group are working or something like that, you can always let me know, but I encourage them to please submit it as soon as they can. Do you have any expectations for how many weeks? So my initial plan was as long as possible, but I think in order to make it fair for those who want to wait, who are waiting to come in, and to be fair with like my time as well, I'm thinking 4 rounds of cases. So it's going to be maybe anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. And so within that time frame, if that way everybody can go at least once to the live meetings and we can learn as much as we can. I'm in the process of making this into an organization. That way, there is some validity to what we're doing. And I'm trying to see if we can make this some type of certificate program or something like that. So you have something to show for your time here. In the post quiz, I'm going to ask how much time you spent studying and preparing. That way I can keep track of your hours as well in case you're going to put this on your application for med school or whatever it is that you want to do. Should we know what numbers on the labs represent? Yeah, so you should know the general normal values, but I won't expect it from you this time because I haven't posted a video on lab values and what the labs are. I'll try to do that later tonight, but you probably won't have time to review it before the meeting tomorrow or Sunday. So I'll try my best to do it. Like I said before, I'm a little bit behind because of work, so just be patient with me. So tomorrow, if you can, so I would actually prefer talking to people instead of me just talking to myself for 2 hours or for an hour. So I would prefer if you had your audio on and your cameras on. When I call on you, I'd prefer you to answer with the audio. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't feel comfortable because this is going to be live streamed to YouTube. And so it's completely up to you. But audio, yes, if you can. If we don't have our session until Sunday, should we refrain from watching lives on Saturday? Yeah, I would want you to refrain from watching on Saturday. But in the end, we kind of all know what the case is right now. We might not know the answer, but for me, I don't really care so much about the answer. I care about the process getting to the answer. I think the best way to do it is not knowing the answer, because if you do know the answer, it's gonna affect the way that you think about the case. So I would say yeah, and then maybe tomorrow on Sunday after your stream, you can go and see how other groups did too. It's completely up to you. The week after, I think I'm gonna have different cases for the 2 days, so you might be okay watching the live streams, but I'll let you know. So yeah, the live with me, so if you're the person that's going to join here, the live with me will be here. the YouTube is going to be for the rest of your class that's supporting you. It's going to come online here, or do we just talk amongst ourselves? I really don't know how Q&A works. I don't know if I'm getting your question right, but I will be here tomorrow if that's what you're asking, to help facilitate discussion and guide you through the cases and teach you what I can. I'm not sure if I answered your question though. You are awesome, Dr. N. Thank you. My group has not even replied once to me. What should I do? Try your best to get in contact with them. Let me know through the form that I sent out yesterday, and yeah, just let me know. Should we already have a diagnosis ready? Hello. Should you have a diagnosis ready before a meeting? You don't have to. I want you to try to have one if you can, but you don't have to. Just to be able to have a reason why you think your diagnosis is what it is. My last name is pronounced Nakvi, but you can call me Abbas is okay too. Up to you. Try to contact them and mention if there's a deadline. If they don't, then yeah, thanks. Is it okay if we have multiple possible treatments? Yeah, you can have whatever possible treatments you want. My focus isn't so much on the treatment, it's more on the diagnosis. So you try your best. If you have a treatment, great. If you don't, that's okay too. And we'll try to discuss the treatments if we have time. So rounds tomorrow will be kind of a one-on-one with the rest of the group members in the chat. So yeah, so what I will do is, I had mentioned a little bit earlier, I will call who asked this? So Dr. Vinesh, if the patient has chest pain with exertion, what are you thinking of? And then you will say, I think the patient would have something like this. And then I'll say, well, what if he now has he's having a cough and shortness of breath along with that chest pain? And then you'll answer that question. And then I'll go to Dr. Mina. So if you think that this is a heart attack, what would you expect the labs to look like? So I'm going to ask you questions in like that detail, and it's okay if you don't know the answer. As long as you attempt, I'm completely fine, because I have zero expectations for you to know exactly what's going on with the patient, because you guys aren't in medical school yet. You guys aren't residents. I have at least 5-6 years of education on you, and so I would never expect you to be at the level of even a medical student. So just try your best. That's all I ask. The next session will be the weekend of June 6th. Yes, you are correct. Yeah, so for the readings, try your best to do whatever you can. At least read the basic one if you can, and then if not, then I guess read the basic ones at least. Can we get a tentative long-term timeline, general time commitment, expectancy for this opportunity? A lot of us, including myself, are taking final students, studying full-time for the MCAT. Just want to be realistic and responsible decisions, stay in the course. So when I thought about this, I figured it would maybe be like 2 to 3 hours a week of time that you would have to commit to here. 1 hour, 1 hour with me, and then maybe 2-3 hours outside just reading the materials, watching the videos. I encourage all of you to watch the videos at double speed. If you can't do double speed, do 1.5 and then kind of work your way up, because it'll save you a ton of time in the future. How long this will go for is probably anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. So if you have to drop in the middle of it, that is okay. I prefer that you don't, because I want you to be working closely with the same group for the time that we're together. But if you absolutely have to, for whatever reason, you just let me know, and I'll try to add somebody back into the course. But it is very important that you try to stay in as long as you can. Yeah, everybody needs to fill out that form with the problems reaching your group members. All high schoolers are joining the Google meeting tomorrow. Yes, it's not going to be live streamed. if your session is the last of the day, I would prefer you don't watch the previous ones because you'll get the answer, and honestly, it changes the way you think if you know the answer. So I prefer if you don't. You can go back and watch them later to see what the conversation was and see if there's anything different. And honestly, the conversation is going to be different because everybody thinks differently, and we're going to have different teaching points in each of the live streams. So just be cognizant of that if you want to go and learn as much as you can. So the diagnosis will be can be of anything. I'm trying to focus your attention on things that are more likely so that you don't have just a ton of information that you have to sift through. So that's why I included all those articles so that you have at least a background information of the more common things. But my videos are going to be more focused on things that are more pertinent to the course. I haven't had time to put more videos out just because of my other duties, so I will try to do that as soon as I can. So the readings are going to be on the Google Classroom. On the classwork tab, there should be a chest pain guide, and in the beginning, there's a bunch of questions that I want you to think about and work through. The second page is going to be a bunch of like resources, and they're all free resources that you can find online. I made sure that nothing is behind a paywall or anything like that. So these are all things you can access yourself. Yeah, so Iman, if in case it wasn't answered, if you can't attend to, if you're not in the actual Google meeting, it'll be on YouTube, and I want you guys to stream it and talk to the person in the Google meeting as well. So the research, I will send you more information as soon as I have a better idea. I want to focus on making this as good as we possibly can, and then we can talk about research after that. So if you work every weekend morning, unfortunately, right now for the next few weeks, that's the only time I can possibly meet. If there's enough people that need to meet at a different time, I can try to see what I'll do, but I can't promise anything. So it's up to you. If you're in that situation, just email me. We can try to figure it out. So let's say some is missing out on a live session, say final or family commitment that they mentioned to the group. Can you temporarily make the spot available? So if you're asking if like for one session you can't meet or whatever, that's okay. Just watch it afterwards, talk to your group. But if like you can't make 3 or 4 different sessions, then it might be better just to wait until we do another cohort. So if that is an issue, just let me know. Just send me an email. Also, for everybody that wants to contact me, I have a lot of you trying to contact me, and in order to not lose your information and your question, send it to the admin Gmail. I'll be able to actually get to everybody there. What will the format of the live meeting be, and how many people will be there? So there will be anywhere between 40 to 50 people in the live session, one representative from each group. So I have probably about 1,500 of you in this class. So so if you are, I think, so like let's say you're residents 2, you're probably going to have like 40 people in your class, if I remember right. And so with that, I will be calling on you as we go through the cases to answer questions and to guide you. And I want you guys to be the head members of the discussion and move the case along. And I will be there more as a guide and point you in the right direction if you're going in the wrong direction. So you should definitely establish communication with your small groups, not the whole classroom. So your small group, it's going to be important to talk to your small groups. In next week, you and your small groups should get to know each other well enough and have an idea of what to do for chest pain. So the next cases that we're going to do, I'm going to pair 2 groups together because you're not going to know anything about the case other than the patient's coming in with chest pain. And you're going to be talking to that other group to kind of come up with a broad differential, come up with different scenarios, and really discuss chest pain, because your other group is going to have different ideas than maybe you had when you are when you were first discussing the case. What would the level of the post quiz be the same for all? Yeah, everybody took the same quiz. The average was 3 to 4 out of 11. So everybody's kind of in the same boat. But I'm hoping that you will do a lot better the second time after learning what you learned. All high schoolers are going to join the Google meeting. There is no live stream. Exactly. You don't have to turn on the video for the rounds. I would prefer, if you feel comfortable doing it, I would prefer it because it's better than talking to a black screen. But I know that it can be uncomfortable for some people, especially because it's going to be streamed. So you don't have to. For the high schoolers, it's not going to be streamed. So just putting it out there. So the full course is probably going to be anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. If nobody's responding in your class, make sure so fill out that form that I posted. Make sure everybody fills out that form. Would you rule out a heart attack for the chest pain case? Are you talking about this current case? I'm not going to answer that. I think it's important for you to think about that and come up with a reasoning why, and we'll talk about it tomorrow and on Sunday. If you're having a lot of issues with your group, just email me. What are the day and time we present tomorrow? So the med students are just the high schoolers. They have their own thing. The resident schedule is all the college students. And so one of the last posts I put in your class is going to be the times that you are going to go, depending on whatever class you have. So if your class is Residence 3, you're going to go from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And so just look at what what that schedule is. Just to clarify, so I have this right, one person from each group goes on Razzle, the rest of us in the group in YouTube, and the next week another member. Yeah. And this continues. How do we access the rounds? Will you link? Yes, I will link everything to the Google Classroom. And so your main point of contact is going to be there. For the sessions tomorrow, the only people that are going to have the link to the group for this chat is going to be the ones that are part of the actual conversation, like the live conversation, and then everybody else is going to get the link to the YouTube. So just keep an eye out for your on your email if you are going to be joining me here, if you sign up for that. So if you, so I don't think on the Google Classroom there's a way to chat, unfortunately. So email your group and maybe send them your number or whatever it is that you want to send them, so that they can contact you and you can contact them. That way you can communicate. So I'm kind of confused. Where do we sign up if we are attending a live session on Sunday? I will send that email, that form out to your classrooms. I am planning, so I'm thinking about doing research. I want to see how this goes first. There's been a lot of interest from a bunch of different people and organizations. So yeah. If we don't know the answer at all, would you rather us just say we don't know or make some sort of guess? It's okay to tell me you don't know, but I want you to try. So if you tell me, yeah, I don't know and I don't want to try, well, unfortunately, when you are a doctor or a med student or a resident, that's not going to fly. So it's not going to necessarily fly with me. I'm not going to be mean to any of you guys, just putting that out there. This is all for you to learn. But if you are able to answer, if you can give me your best guess, that's all I want. And I might probe you a bit more to ask, why do you think? And if you say, I don't know, the first thing that came to mind, fine. We can discuss it. But don't feel bad about getting the wrong answer. At least half of the people in the class are not going to be able to get the right answer. And we're all just in this together, so don't worry about it. any way for us to record these Google Meets and have them posted somewhere on the class? So they're going to be on YouTube. So they will be, everything's going to be housed on YouTube. So the YouTube link should be in your classroom, so you should be able to add it there. So if all your members are busy during the live session, let me know, because we'll have to probably split you and put you into different groups. If you're going to be busy every single weekend during this time, then we have to talk whether or not we need to have you attend at a different time or what we're going to do. But at least one person should be available during this week and next week. So for the differential diagnosis, basically a differential diagnosis is what you think is going on with the patient and why you think it's going on, why it's going on, and what are the different reasons and what makes it more likely versus less likely. And I will put out a video on how to arrange your differential and how to come up with a system to think about a differential diagnosis. I know none of you probably have done this before, and so this is all new to you, and so we'll kind of work through it together.
It's the back.
What was that? This is the only info we'll receive on the patient, right? Yeah, so this week, this is the only information you'll receive on the patient. Next week, for the next case, you're gonna receive less. It's gonna just be, patient comes in with chest pain and that's it. So yeah. Is the BMP in our practice case picograms per mil? I don't know, because I forget the units of BMP because it's different everywhere, but the BMP is normal. So I hope that helps. Can you go through the differences between crackles, bronchi, and wheezing? Does demand ischemia result in MI or angina? How would it affect troponins? So yeah, I can go through some of that. So crackles, bronchi, and wheezing are all different terms for how breath sound in the lungs. Crackles, you generally think of like fluid. If there's fluid in the lungs, either from overload or from inflammation, that can give you a crackly type sounds. It kind of sounds like Rice Krispies when you pour some milk on it. Bronchi is basically snoring. If it sounds like you listen to the lungs and it sounds like it's snoring, then that's bronchi. Wheezing is wheezing. So it's like, I can't, hold on, that's more Strider. Wheezing, basically, okay, so wheezing is more what happens when you have narrowing of the actual bronchioles and basically the air passages within the lung. Trying to think if I can mimic it. It probably won't do it justice, but it's like that. That's like wheezing. But it's probably really bad and probably not transmitting well. So just if you search it on YouTube, you'll find a video on it. Demand ischemia. Does demand ischemia result in an MI or angina? So demand ischemia is difficult to categorize, and doctors have a difficult time categorizing this because sometimes we don't know what demand ischemia is versus angina. So with angina, you'll have chest pain. Angina is because you have narrowing of the vessel. So you have a supply problem where your heart needs the blood and it can't get enough blood to that area because of that narrowing. Demand ischemia can be a mix of not having enough volume to actually, not enough area to be able to actually pass the fluid. Plus, you have less fluid or less blood going to that portion of the heart. And so demand ischemia happens a lot when you, I guess the best thing to think about is like somebody who has sepsis, where they have an overwhelming inflammatory response because of some type of infection. And so all of their vessels now dilate. And so if everything is dilating, the volume in which the blood is going to be passing throughout the entire body now increases. So that means that all of your volume of blood is now going through more, I guess, cross-sectional area in all of your vessels. And so blood is not able to get to the place it needs to go. And specifically when we're talking about demand ischemia, it's not able to go to the heart. How would it affect troponin levels? Well, it can, they can increase your troponin levels. So I hope that helps. if our group is not one of the groups presenting at the session, all of our group members should just join the YouTube live. You don't, so you can if you want. I would say if your group isn't going at that time, you probably don't want to be on that YouTube live just because you're going to learn what the answers are for whenever your group goes, and it takes away from the learning experience. So yeah. We only get one chance to present a case through the 8 to 12 weeks or multiple. I'm hoping at least one. It depends on how many times I can do these cases. So we might be able to do more than one. I don't know as of yet. You can participate in future years, but it all depends on what the response is. I want to make sure that other people that haven't got a chance to do it are able to. But if you like this format, I will try my best to get you guys in. Well, we only get, I already got that one. So if you continue this program, I got that one too. I am not done with residency. I'm doing my last year of residency right now. So, or this coming year. The times are posted in the Google Classroom, Sarah. It's all dependent on what your class name is. You guys are very welcome. So I'm looking into creating some type of certification. It all depends on whether or not I am able to establish a like organization around this. So one of the things that I was thinking after this program, and for those that are waiting on the wait list, is to have less formal rounds where you guys are able to come in and join me and we can discuss a case together, one that I haven't even read about, and we can discuss how I approach it and you can help me with how you would approach it. And that way we kind of learn from each other. And so if that's something that you think would be worthwhile, just let me know. How involved will we be in terms of actually being called on during live meetings given the number of people there? So I'm hoping to call on at least on you at least once during that meeting. So I'll have a list of the people that are attending and I will just go through that list randomly and check your name off when I call you. It's honestly the only way for me to balance my time, balance your education and your learning. So if I don't get to you, I really, really, really apologize and we can figure something else out. But I will try to call on all of you. If you're the person attending the live session for your group, so I will post a sign up form. It's going to be an Excel sheet that each group number is going to be on there, and you're going to put your name and your email address for whoever is going to be signing up to go tomorrow. So the whole program briefly and in general. So this program is for you guys to learn what doctors do and how we approach cases. So I want you to learn as much as you can about the topic. And then from your readings on that topic and from the YouTube videos and all that, I want you to be able to think about how a patient presents and how to get to a differential diagnosis. And so what you're going to do is the beginning of each case session or chief complaint session, you're going to get the chief complaint, you're going to get readings and videos on that chief complaint about the body system. So right now we're doing the chest. Next, we might do the abdomen, or we might do a pregnant lady. I'm not sure yet. I'll give you the information you need to know. And then from there, you will, in your group, you'll develop a differential diagnosis. We'll either come together. I haven't decided if we need to do a practice case for each one or we can just do actual cases. But we'll come together on the weekend to discuss the cases. I will treat you like you were medical students or residents, and you guys will be the ones to solve these cases based off of what you learned. I am going to be testing you before and after your readings and these sessions, so I know if you learned anything from it. So I hope that was a good overview. So if other people are removed, I will add more people to your group. Just give me time. So at the top of your classroom, there's a resident whatever. So that's the group you're in. How do you get on the meeting, and how do we know which group member is selected to participate? You guys are going to be selecting your own group to participate. I mean, your own person that's going to participate. So in your group, you can decide, okay, this week I can go, next week I can go, and then I haven't decided when the next few days are because of my schedule being a little variable at this time. So I know this weekend and next weekend I'm going to be free. So that's why I gave you that opportunity to I'm telling you that we're going to do it this weekend and next weekend. And so you're going to decide who's going to go this weekend, who's going to go next weekend, and that person is going to put their name on the Excel sheet with their email address, and I will email you guys the code to join this meeting. I will give you the correct diagnosis. We'll talk about why it's the correct diagnosis. We'll talk about what the treatment is going to be. We'll talk about the resolution, so it's not just up in the air. I want you to learn as much as you can from these cases. I will add a question at the end of the post quiz about how many hours you spent on this. Some schools have reached out asking if I can use this as like service learning, given like the whole COVID situation. If you have something like that at your school and you need hours, let your school know what you're doing, and then have them email me, and then we can discuss it with your school. Okay. Yeah, so you guys keep track of your hours, and then I will be keeping track of them as well. The group name is so your group number should be on this sheet of email address and contact information that I sent out. So just find your name there, and you'll be able to know the number that you're in. I already filled out the form because my group's not in contact with one another. I was able to form a group chat, but I've not been able to get a response from anyone about the materials or way to fill the form out again. Just email me. So for some background, what schools did I go to? So I went to UCI. I went to Long Beach City College for my first 2 years of college, and then UCI studied biomedical engineering, and then I did a master's in engineering and business at UCI also, and then I went to Western for med school. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. If there's a place to submit the chest pain assignment, I have to remember what I did, but I think that's where I want. If it's an assignment, then yeah, you just submit your assignment there. Will you see the news of it? So the date and times are up on the Google Classroom. So just look at the last few posts. I tried looking at the difference between pneumonia and pulmonary edema, as well as their respective chest X-rays. Yeah, it's going to be hard to do that without kind of guidance, and so I'll guide you and try to show you the difference as best I can, and I'll put a video up as well. Submit with block 1. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting texts from work too. What type of vitals would you expect for pericarditis? So for pericarditis, you would typically expect, sorry guys. So for pericarditis, you would typically expect you'll expect tachycardia because just the irritation. It won't necessarily be very high heart rate. Your oxygen saturation should be generally okay. Your blood pressure should be generally okay. I mean, it could be a little high. And I think I said your oxygen saturation should be okay. So the vitals are overall normal, but you can have a little bit of tachycardia. Would it be safe to put in a stent if one has already received them not too long ago and his tachycardia signs of both ST elevation and depression? So you can put multiple stents in. It's all dependent on where the blockage is. So if you had a stent placed in the LAD and the circumflex, if there is a more proximal, so meaning as soon as the vessel exits that area, now you have a new area of stenosis right there, and the stents were placed a little bit farther down. You can place the stent higher up, and that'll open it up so it can actually flow down. And so it really depends on where the stenosis is, where the narrowing is. Is tachycardia signs of both ST elevation and depression? So you can have ST elevations and depressions without tachycardia. I don't know if the labs are measured the same in the US and Canada. That is a good question. That is a very good question. I don't know. Will we be receiving our scores from the pre-quiz? Yes, but a little bit later. Once we do the post-quiz, I'll send you both of your quiz values. Would we have our group finalized before the live session or after? So if your group is less than 4, then you will probably have it finalized either a little bit later today. If not, it's going to be after the sessions tomorrow. Yeah, your group members. I have a final exam at the time of the meeting. Is it okay if I watch the meeting through YouTube? Yeah, it's okay to watch it a little bit later if you have something going on. That's fine. Just try your best. Try your best to make it if you can, but if you can't, that's okay. Who are following along, do you think we can list this activity of shadowing and application? I would say probably not, because I need to be able to track your participation and track what you did. And so hold off on putting it on your applications, and I will try to get you in as soon as I can. So yeah, so if you have an idea on how to help out with the virtual round, send it to my admin email. I am holding off on answering those for now because I have a few of them pending, but I really want to get this out and make sure that it goes well. My thinking is that I need to really understand what is needed for this session to actually be able to direct people. So I apologize if I haven't gotten back to you, but I definitely will. For the hours, what do you want us to include live sessions? I want you to include all the hours that you spent. So prep, live, assignments, everything. If the maximum that I would approve for your for med school or for like service hours is probably 2 to 3 a week. And I still haven't decided that yet, but I do want to know how much time you're spending in this. And be honest, because there's no credit to how much time you spend. There's no like prize or anything like that. If you spend more time, it's just all for your learning. So you just be as honest as possible and let me know, because it'll help me tailor what I expect from you guys in the future. Can you talk about MD versus DO and any differences that you know in med school and after? I will in a sec. For hours, we're counting for prep, for the meeting, and the meeting. For the hours, are we counting hours for prep for the meeting and the meeting, or hours? So everything. Okay. How do I know which resident group? So just check your classroom. The name is going to be up top. So differences between MD and DO, honestly, they're exactly the same. The only difference is that the DO schools have extra training in LMM, which is musculoskeletal manipulation. Basically, we learn how to diagnose like musculoskeletal complaints and issues and use our hands to treat those, which is pretty cool. The only caveat is that for a lot of DOs, they don't actually practice OMM after they graduate, and once they're in residency. You will if you go into a DO, an AOA recognized residency, but yeah. I think a lot of people say that DOs are more holistic and they think of more of like whole body medicine or whatever. It's more that it's in our mission and it's what we want, like what we strive for, but it's not necessarily true to say that MDs don't do that also. So I hope that answers your question. And I think I am all caught up with questions. So if there is any more questions, let me know. I'm going to be here for another probably another 50 minutes or so, just in case people see this a bit later. You can hang out with me, ask me questions. We can do basically whatever it is that you want. This is your time. Tomorrow, for those that are going, try to be on time, try to be a little bit early. I'll post the links to join the actual sessions probably later today, if not early tomorrow. And so just be on the lookout for that. But we need to start as close to on time as possible because I did not schedule any time between the classes. So yeah. Yeah. Are you going to be holding office hours every week? It's up to you guys. If you think it's helpful and I have time, I'm happy to. But it's up to you guys. In your pre-med and medical journey, what would you have done differently? I have a TikTok about that. Just a little plug for my TikTok. So, but honestly, I would have reached out a bit more, find more mentors. I didn't really have anybody going in just because I was in the engineering school. I didn't really know anybody in medicine. I didn't have a pre-med advisor or anything like that. And so that would have been the biggest one. Focusing on testing myself and doing more questions versus like rewriting my notes and all that. I think that would have been more helpful. Yeah. And then I wish I also would have studied music. I like to play music, but I wish I would have actually studied it because it makes you more well-rounded and it gives you a different perspective. And the arts in general, I feel like develop a different part of your brain. So that's just my thought. So yeah, DOs can become surgeons as well. Any residency is open to a DO. Now, a lot of people are concerned because the USMLE Step 1 is now pass-fail. And because of that, they're saying that it might be a little bit harder for DOs to match into very, very competitive specialties, like the most competitive, like interventional radiology or plastics, because a lot of DOs will distinguish themselves by doing really well on Step 1. We don't know if that's true, and I wouldn't discourage you from going to a DO school because I think they're all pretty great. Just be cognizant of that and try to speak to as many people as possible about that. Residencies can't discriminate between MDs and DOs though, so that is one thing that it is part of like the agreement that they came together because there's only one residency pool now, so they can't say that, oh, I prefer you because you're an MD versus a DO. So we don't know what it's going to be like. Hopefully it's not as bad as people are going to say. I don't think it will be that bad. You might have a harder time being in a more specialized, more competitive specialty, but honestly, I think the AOA has a very strong lobbying presence and has a very strong, advocacy arm as well. And so I think that if there were a lot of issues with that, they would definitely try to address it. So that's just my thoughts, though. I'm not part of any of that. Do DO specialize or no? So they can do anything. You don't have to do primary care if you don't want to. In prep for the rounds tomorrow, would we simply review the case, all the videos, and the chest pain guide? If you do all that, you should be okay. Do whatever you can. Do whatever you can is what I would say. Maybe too far-fetched, but could COVID be involved in this case? That is a great question. Why would I mention work history and who's working who's working with in the house and who's she living with? So I'll leave it at that. Will the diagnosis for the week meeting be one of the 4? It could be anything else. I was supposed to put more information out for the different diagnoses, but I'll try to do that a little bit later today, but I can't promise anything. This is just a practice run, and honestly, like, you don't have to, the whole point of this is not to be right. It's to learn how to learn and how to get to the right answer. So chemical engineering on the pre-med track, any advice? Do well in your classes. Your senior project, make it one that's really interesting, and pursue your interest in engineering. I think a lot of med schools like that diversity. Clinical research experience for a med school app. Reach out to as many people as you can. But don't be shy about it. The worst thing they can say is no. But the best thing they can say is, yeah, you can be part of my research team, and hey, I'm doing this publication, so you can be part of it. So reach out to as many people as you can. If they say no, always ask, like, do you know anybody that would be willing or can do it? So I did do research in undergrad. I was in part of 2 labs. I did not like research. It was not my thing. I never published anything. So it's just because I was doing like lab research and it just wasn't my thing. Can you ask for a letter of rec from a professor, even if, yeah, you can ask for a letter of rec, even if you're not applying the cycle. It's probably helpful to do that. And just make sure you have a copy of it just in case they lose it. They might not give it to you because they're supposed to be sealed and you're not supposed to see it, but tell them that when you're going to apply so that they know. And it's probably better to do it early if you think that they might forget who you are. This program is hopefully going to be 8 to 12 weeks. I'm not sure exactly yet. Is it hard for DOs to match in derm and OBGYN? No. There's a lot of people that matched OBGYN in my class. There was a good number of people that matched derm as well. So you can really match into anything that you want. So yeah. Patients or employers being hesitant to work with you because I'm a DO. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what school you went to. Nobody cares what residency you necessarily went to. The only people that care are I feel like med students themselves. But honestly, patients care more about how much you care about them. So it doesn't matter if you went to UCSF or you went to Western. In the end, all they care about is get me feeling better and understand me as a person. So as far as employers, not really. I think if your work speaks for itself, once you graduate residency, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be jobs for you, and I wouldn't worry about that. The BMP was normal. How important are clinical hours? Honestly, I didn't have much clinical hours. My clinical hours were playing music in a hospital and speaking to patients there. I guess I was a case manager for a bit for diabetic patients, but it wasn't like hard clinical hours. I was never a scribe. I never did any of that. So I don't know if things have changed, but from what I remember, I didn't have really any clinical hours. I did have some shadowing experience, but that was maybe like a few weeks, if anything. When we ask for a letter of rec, where does it go? Do they keep it or does it save to our AMC? If I remember right, they have to submit it to AAMC. They don't give it to you. You can ask for a letter of rec from me, but the only condition is that you have to have had worked with me on this project. And I know a lot of you want to. The reason why is I don't want to give you a crappy letter of recommendation. I don't want to give you a generic letter of rec because it's not going to help you, and if anything, it'll hurt you. So, yeah, that's my only hesitation to telling everybody I can write them a letter of rec. I just don't want it to be generic. So if you work with me on the team, I'd be happy to write you a letter. But I know that it's going to be difficult to add everybody that wants a letter. So I'm still trying to figure out how the best way to do that is. Will this go under clinical experience for med school apps? I forget what the categorizations are. So if somebody wants to put what those categories are for me, I can kind of see. I'm Salvadorian and Pakistani. I want to become a DO. So you're basically me. It's kind of cool. Would you recommend doing physics at community college over the summer? It's up to you. I did physics during the year, but I did OChem during the summer, and I was fine. Nobody really said anything about it. I like doing OChem over the summer because I was able to actually focus only on OChem. So it really depends on what your situation is like. I don't know if it'll necessarily make it so you can't get into med school because you took it over the summer. So What's some advice you can give as I'm completing this process to figure out moving parts? Have people look over your application because it's going to be important to get that feedback. And then have, and keep an open mind as well. Apply to schools that you want to go to, but if you feel like you have a good shot at a lot of different schools, apply to those schools and then also apply to a few more. Apply multiple times is hard. It's hard financially, and it can be pretty draining. It can be draining emotionally too. So you don't want to if you don't have to. And then if there's any like mixers or anything like that, definitely go to them. Every time there is a pre-interview day mixer or whatever, that is an interview. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. That is definitely an interview. So be on your best behavior. Don't make yourself look bad, because it is going to be, they are going to be seeing how you are there. So, is that what, when we signed up for it on the Google Doc, when does it start? So I don't know yet because I'm still trying to decide what exactly I need help from you guys. The last thing I want is to bring people on and they don't have a job to do. And so once I figure that out, I'll let you know. I'll also let you know what the time commitment is like. I'll probably be asking you for your resume and like your any, like, I guess, things that you have to show. So like if you're going to be helping with art, like I'd want to see your art, stuff like that. So if you can prepare that, that'd be great. I don't know exactly what I need yet, but I will let you know. I'll send you guys an email. And I have you in the original form. I have what you guys volunteered for. So I'll probably be breaking you up depending on what you volunteered for. If you didn't volunteer for anything and now you want to, just send me an email when I send out the requests. Do we have to have specific experiences in order to help you with this project? I would prefer it because you would be part of the team, and being part of the team, you're going to have a minimum time commitment as well, because I don't want to be training people because that'll take time for me, and I don't have a ton of time right now. So yeah, but we'll discuss it when the time comes, because I need to think about it a little bit more. Try a website called Interfolio for all your letter rec. Yeah, so Interfolio, if I remember right, is what we used. I just don't remember. It's been a long time. So representatives from each group are going to be participating in the rounds together. Those that are not coming to the meeting are going to be on YouTube. If I plan on going to med school right after senior year, when would I have to give my MCAT and when would I need to apply? You usually apply at the end of your junior year. Your MCAT, you would traditionally want to do it before. You apply so that your score is available as soon as you submit your application. The first time I applied, I took my MCAT in like August, and I applied around that time. So don't do that. Submit as soon as you can, but you are able to submit later on. Interviews go out kind of in first come, first serve basis. So. How many med schools would you recommend applying to? It depends on how competitive you are. It's been so long that I don't quite remember what a good number is, and things have probably changed. So I don't know if I would feel totally comfortable answering that question. I applied to 14 MD schools and 3 DO schools last time I applied. And I withdrew my DO applications after I got into Western, and then I think I got into 2 MD schools. I don't quite remember anymore, but I applied 3 times, so it's all kind of a blur. So yeah, and I am up to date. Oh, actually, I'm not up to date on my questions. How many interviews did I get? I don't remember how many interviews I got. I think I got 5 or 6. I don't really remember. Honestly, I don't really remember. I am interested in having a website. I have my domain. I have my hosting all set up. I just need time to actually put into doing it. So can you choose to be part of other teams? I'd prefer if you're part of one solid team because I'd rather have somebody focused on one thing. You can always have input on different things, but I would want you focused on one thing. It's not hard to complete undergrad in 3 years. Yeah, it is hard in the sense that there's a lot of time you have to take a bunch of classes, but a lot of people will have some college credit going into college, and so that helps them. And then if you take summer school, you can get a good amount of credits that way. So it's not super, super hard. It is time consuming, and I don't want you guys to burn out, but yeah. What made you choose DO over MD? So I like the philosophy. I like the idea of doing OMM, and it was close to home. So the MD schools that I got into were on the East Coast, and thinking about it, I decided that, it's not worthwhile for me to move across the country. I wanted to be near my family. Do you know of any med school scholarships we can apply for? There's a ton. FastWeb has a bunch of, that's like that scholarship database thing. I don't know any personally, because it's been so long, but yeah. FastWeb is probably the first place I would look at, though. My plans after completing residency. I am thinking of doing a fellowship. I don't know if I am going to do that yet or not. I'm thinking either OB, addiction medicine, community medicine, or maybe informatics. So why did I do this? I started this because I saw a lot of people trying to scramble to find volunteering and clinical experiences and all that. And so, and on my TikTok, so I have a TikTok for those that don't know, and I started talking about studying tips and like pre-med advice and all that, and a lot of people liked it, and so I kind of went with that. And I'd never had a lot of guidance going through this process, and so I felt like it was important for me to help those that were kind of basically in my same situation. And so that's why I started this. I love teaching and I love to mentor people, so that's why I specifically did this. And I don't know, I thought it would be an interesting experiment to see if pre-meds that don't really have medical experience, that they can learn how to think like a doctor and learn about differential diagnoses and medical decision making, because a lot of times we tend to learn that later on in our career. We try to learn all of the basic medical information first and then apply that to medical decision making. But in all honesty, like, it shouldn't be that way, because then you start compartmentalizing medicine into different organ systems and being very closed-minded when you think about medicine. And in the end, you have to think about the big picture of the patient. And so that was just kind of like my central thesis of it. And I figured I've done this before with middle schoolers that I've mentored, and I figured if they can do it, you guys can too. And it's just a matter of being able to teach it virtually. So long-winded answer, but hopefully that answers your question. And then the Q&A is because I got a lot of questions and I figured make myself available to answer them. If you don't get in the first time, is reapplication looked down upon? I don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no. In my experience, I got into a medical school that I turned down. I reapplied and I got an interview there. So, yeah. I don't think it's looked down upon per se. They're gonna question why you didn't get in the first time, but yeah. The med schools have like financial aid offices or straight up loans. It's basically straight up loans. There are some scholarships available. There's no grants or anything like that. So yeah, everybody has loans. You're all able to pay for it in the end. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. How long does it take for MCAT scores to come out? I don't really remember. I think it's a few weeks. Don't know. It's been too long. How old was I when I applied for med school? When I first applied to med school, I was 20 or 21. When I finally got in, I was 22. I took two gap years. I did apply during those times, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. The first time I applied, I also applied to my master's program at UCI, and I got into there. And then after that, I applied during the master's and didn't get into where I wanted to go. And then finally, I applied to DO schools, and I got in to close to home. And I think that's what it was for me. I just needed to be close to home. Yeah. Did you take a gap year? Yeah, I answered that. You guys are very welcome. Do you remember how long you studied for the MCAT? So I didn't do the MCAT studying thing right. I actually only studied for like 3 to 4 weeks. But generally, people would recommend dedicated studying like 3 months, 2 to 3 months. I would focus on questions more than anything. My MCAT score, if I remember right, was like a 32 or a 33. This is the old MCAT score, so I don't know what that correlates to. Somebody told me it's like a 512, but I don't quite remember if that's exactly what they told us. The minimum range for DO students, I don't know what it is now. It's different with the new MCAT. But you should be able to find it online. If anybody knows where, if you want to post it here, that'd be helpful. I can show you some OMM. I would have to have, I can probably get one of my siblings to come and demonstrate. But yeah, I can show you some OMM. Was it difficult to adjust to work lifestyle at UCI after attending City College? No, honestly, it wasn't. I just wasn't part of like the whole college experience, I guess. Honestly, I didn't really care. I was working at the time. I just needed to get my schooling done. But I mean, like I made friends. I was able to do all that. But I think the hardest thing was getting research because right when I got to UC, I had to try to find research. So yeah. Do you know any specific programs that provide MCAT or med school? So for the MCAT, there is the AAMC has a fee assistance program, so I would look into that. And then they also let you apply to some schools for free. So the program will hopefully last 8 to 12 weeks. I'm going to try to keep it going throughout the academic year as well. So if you like it and there's more, if you like it and you want to join again, you can as long as there's room. Do you think you had decent? Yeah. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to stay near home because I wanted to spend time with my family. Throughout medical school, it is hard. You study a lot, but there is definitely time to spend with family, and you just have to schedule yourself well to be able to accommodate that. So all the people that say that med school is horrible and you're just studying all the time, to an extent, that's true. You do study a lot, but you also have time for other things. And honestly, you make time for things that you want to make time for. And so if family is important for you, you'll make time for family. So I'm going to try this mic to see. I think my iPad's charged up enough. I'm going to try this mic and see if it works well. You guys let me know if the audio is okay. If it's better, or if it's worse, or whatever. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Is this better, worse, the same? Does it matter? Better for you? Okay, it's clear, sounds better. Great, cool. Doesn't matter. Great. Will the links be provided tomorrow to join the live sessions? Also, how would we join the YouTube live if we're not selected for the live sessions? So for the live sessions, the ones that are going to happen here on the Google Meet platform, the ones that sign up to meet with me tomorrow, so the one person in your group, you're going to get an email either late tonight or early tomorrow morning, and you're going to use that link to join the session. The ones that are going to be on YouTube, that YouTube link is going to be posted in your classroom. So each classroom is going to have a live stream link that's going to be available when the live stream starts. I can try to schedule the live stream, but that might be a little bit too much work for me right now because I'm going to try to do as much as I can to get more material out for you by tomorrow. So I hope that answers your question. Relatively the same. What's the difference between an attending and a resident? So an attending is somebody that's completed residency. A resident is somebody that's in residency. So after you finish med school, you start your residency. It can last anywhere between 3 to 5 years, actually 3 to 7 years. If you go to neurosurgery, it's 7 years. And then after that, once you finish residency, you can either do a fellowship or you can become an attending. So an attending is the person that's finished all of their training. How do we sign up for the virtual rounds? So if you're not part of the classrooms now, you sign up for the waitlist, and I'm going to be trying to put people on into the classrooms off the waitlist. It might not be this weekend. It depends on how much space I have, but I will try my best. So which time slots to join? It's going to be, there's a post that I put in the classroom. I think it's the last one or the one before that. It'll tell you with your classroom name which one you want to go to, you're supposed to be going to, and the time there. What type of questions you may ask us? So I can have the same questions about the difference between resident and attending. Did I answer your question about the differences? What are the type of questions you may ask us during a live session? I can ask you anything. I can ask you to explain why people have heart attacks. I can ask you what the mechanism of a pulmonary embolism is. I can ask you why your differential is going to be whatever you tell me. But it's not going to be in a mean way. It's going to be so that I can push you a little bit more to make sure that you're learning, and for all of us to learn. So it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't have the answers, and if you don't have the right answers. Okay. Okay. So a practicing doctor and attending are both basically the same thing. The only difference is that right now, as a resident, I'm also a practicing doctor, and so I just haven't finished my residency yet. I hope that makes it more clear. My study schedule in undergrad, I was an engineer, so it was a little different. I would basically do my homeworks, and I would go back and try to review problems within the textbook to really understand what I'm supposed to learn. And that's really what I studied. I would probably study maybe, it's been a long time, but maybe like 2-3 hours a day. I wasn't super consistent with it. There were marathon sessions of studying too, especially right before a test. So, yeah. There are 18 categories. Would it be okay to list this as physician shadowing and clinical observation? Send me an email with all the different categories and we can figure it out. Do you have any tests? Do you have to take any tests during residency to become an attending or go into fellowship? Well, you have your board exams, and but that doesn't really dictate whether or not you're going to be an attending or a fellowship. Well, the board exams will dictate whether or not you're going to become an attending. The fellowship, not so much. You do have to take step 3 or level 3 during your residency. So that's that first year of residency. You take that last board exam. And then after that, it's all your board certifications for the specialty you're going into. Every year, there's in-training exams to see how well you're learning and if your knowledge is progressing. And that happens usually during like October, if I remember right. Do you ever doubt yourself while studying? Applying to med school, while in med school, etc. How do you overcome it? I doubt myself all the time. I think part of going through this process is acknowledging that you're not going to know the right answer all the time, and acknowledging that that you won't ever know everything, and so you have to practice this enough so that what you're with some level of confidence what you're doing is correct, and so. So yeah, hold on. Okay. So for virtual rounds, when does each classroom go? Yeah, so the specific times are going to be on the actual classroom. So they're posted in the last few posts that I put. Are all of the groups going to be on the live rounds tomorrow, or do you just select some? So the groupings that are going to go tomorrow are already listed, and just check the classroom it's going to be there. So fellowship, okay, so the best way to explain it is if you want to go into cardiology, that's a fellowship. If you want to do nephrology, that's a fellowship. If you want to do neonatology, I'm pretty sure that's a fellowship. So you have your general education and residency, so you're going to do generally like 3 to 5 years of training. Actually, it can be 7 because you're going to do neurosurgery, I think also has small fellowships. But you're going to do your training during that time, and then afterwards, if you want to subspecialize into something, so meaning if you're doing internal medicine, you want to become either a cardiologist, a GI doctor, infectious disease, nephrology, there's a bunch of other ones. You're going to do a fellowship on top of that to specialize in that specific organ system. So that's an additional, usually 2 to 3 years. Can you explain? I got that one. So did you ever consider a special master's program that feed into med school? I'm considering it applying post-year. I did briefly. I honestly didn't really know what any of these were, but they are good if you are looking at that specific med school. They do give you more experience, but I think that those are more specific to that med school. So you have a better chance at that med school. I don't have a ton of experience with them, so I wouldn't be the right person to ask. I can always reach out to some of the people that I know, but from my experience at the one at Western, it's kind of like a linkage program. They see how you do, and if you do well, you have a decent shot at getting into that med school. Will we be given all the info we need in order to be able to answer the question you asked? For this session, you might not have all the info you need. All the info you need was supplied in the readings that I gave you, and then there's going to be like little nuances that I'm going to teach you that you might not be able to learn in those readings. But for the next session, I hope that I have enough videos out there that you have a general idea based off of the videos of what to focus on. So if nobody in your group can go tomorrow, then so if you are able to go tomorrow. But if nobody in your group is able to go tomorrow, we might need to add somebody into your group, and then kind of go from there. So we can figure it out though. Just email me. Pre-med jobs I would recommend for undergrads. I guess anything that can give you some sort of clinical experience is going to be good. So being EMT, being a scribe, those you generally have a better idea of what it's like to be a doctor or to treat people in general. It's not crucial though. I never did any of those jobs and I got into med school. So would you recommend getting an iPad to take notes on undergrads? Not really. It doesn't matter. I bought an iPad during med school and I hardly used it. So it just wasn't for me. And I think I just didn't really know how to use it. And I didn't really spend the time to actually learn. So yeah. Better to finish undergrad early or take extra time. It doesn't really matter. I don't think you're advantaged any way of finishing early. They're not going to say, wow, this person was a lot smarter because they finished early. I might be wrong, but that's not the experience that I've seen. If you take longer, I don't think it really matters either. Stuff happens. And so as long as you don't, tank the last year that you're there, then you should be okay. Should we be communicating with our group member that is in the live session tomorrow? Yeah. So the person that's going to be here live, their mic is going to be muted. And so So unless I call on you, that's the only time that I would want you to unmute your mic, unless you have a question, and then, maybe like, hey, I have a question, whatever. But when you're talking, when you're muted, I want you to be talking to your group about the information on, to see, I guess, what to come up with an answer to the questions I'm asking, because I might ask that group member. So you want to support that group member, to be able to get them the right answer, so that they answer the right answer. And so that's how I want you to be supporting them. And then if you have questions yourself, put them in the live stream comments, because they're going to be transferred here, to the Meet session. So I hope that answers your question. What are some ways that we can help you further develop this program? If you have ideas, just send them my way. I think I need to get through this first round of cases and really learn what is needed from the program before I bring anything on, because I need to. I don't want the blind leading the blind, basically. So I want to make sure that I know what is needed. I want to be able to have struggled through this first, so I can kind of get the feel of how to do this. So yeah, we can apply to med schools without MCAT scores. Yeah, so I heard that too, that you need to send them in before you interview because of COVID. So if you can apply right now without the MCAT, and before you interview, you have to give them your score. Yeah, I am not as up to date with the MCAT stuff and the applications for this cycle, though, so I would definitely look at the individual schools. I think schools will be lenient with volunteer hours. You just have to explain what you had set up, and then you have to show that you were active and you wanted to go out and do more, so you're finding these opportunities. So it would help to work as a CNA. Anything that gives you experience with the patient will help. So everybody in your class, so if you're in 2 residents, every group is going to go tomorrow. So that entire class has its own dedicated hour. Now, one person from each of the groups inside that class. So when I sent you the roster, there's with your group, it's going to be numbered. So everyone in every group is going to send one representative to the live session. Everybody else is going to be on YouTube supporting. And so so that class, so for 2 residents, you guys are going to go tomorrow at 9 a.m. So if that doesn't make sense, let me know. If you're taking a gap year, would med schools like to see more clinical time spent that year, or a 1-year master's? I don't think it. I think your justification of getting a master's is going to be what's most important. So if you're just getting a master's to fill in time, most of the 1-year masters don't have any research to it, to the point where you're going to be publishing something or writing something up, like a big project. So you have to have a good reason on why you're doing that special master's. For me, my master's program was 1 year, but it was for me to learn the business side of engineering. So it's completely non-medical, but you just have to spin it the right way. So for me, it was, I wanted to learn about, the business side of biomedical engineering, so I can better be an advocate for my patients, something like that. So if you have something clinical set up, you don't necessarily have to do a master's. If your grades are the issue, probably doing a master's is going to be more beneficial. I am not going to say what residency program I'm currently in. Sorry. I'm trying to keep what I'm doing here separate from my residency program. So yeah, hope you understand. For the labs in the sample case, can we Google? Yeah, so Google the normal range values, but I'll also put out a video for the normal values and what these labs are and what they mean. So yeah, if I could go back, would I choose MD over DO for med school? I don't know. I think the division between MD and DO is not a huge deal. I like the fact that I know OMM. People ask me to treat them in my residency program at home. I treat some of my patients in my clinic too, so I like that, having that experience. I don't know if I would have tried to go into something more competitive that would like plastics. I mean, that's not me, so I'm happy with what my path. Um, I did do an engineering internship at a company nearby, near where my school was, and so it was a short internship. I didn't particularly enjoy the work that I was doing, and I think that helped push me more into medicine. Um, so if we're having a session every week, so everyone gets the opportunity, or is just this week that we're doing this practice session? I haven't decided yet. We might do a practice case and then the real big case. I haven't decided yet. So when I think about it more and when I see how this session went, we can kind of go from there. So the fellowship, fellowship training for the most part generally will pay a little bit more. You'll be considered an expert in the field that you specialize in, but you have a decreased salary for the years that you are in fellowship. It doesn't really matter in the long run. It's honestly just a matter of what you prefer and what type of medicine you want to practice. So I hope that answers your question. Nurses or nursing students applying to med school. I think it's good. You just have to be able to explain why you're making the switch from nursing to med school. The group times are on the Google Classroom, so just look there. It's listed. Just if you don't know what classroom you're in, just look at the top when you sign in. It'll be there. I'm gonna post a Excel to let you know who where one person from each group is gonna sign up for the session tomorrow, and so you're gonna put your name and your email, and then I'm gonna email everybody the code to get into this session. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Yeah. Commute 2 hours to my university, and I was really worried about not being in any clubs. Do you think that would negatively impact me? No, not really. I don't. Club membership isn't really a big deal. Leadership in clubs can be a little bit more helpful. If they're medically related, that can help as well. But if you don't have time, you don't have time. Yeah, I would rather you focus more of your time in helping the community around where you live than spending time in a club, because in the end most of the clubs don't do anything anyways. So, or at least let me back that up. From my experience, a lot of the clubs that I was a part of, we really didn't do anything. So there's like a little event here and there, but it didn't really matter in the long run. Okay, now I answered all the questions. I have about like 5 more minutes before I head out. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. I will see most of you guys tomorrow. I'll see half of you tomorrow and then the other half the next day. And you guys give me feedback on how these sessions go, what things that were worked and what didn't. Sí, hablo español. My mom's side of the family is from El Salvador, so I grew up speaking Spanish. You guys are all very, very, very welcome. Hopefully this is helpful and you guys are able to grow from this. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes or so. So you guys just let me know if you need anything else. Hopefully soon. I after this, the reason why I'm leaving at 5 is because I had to post those sign-up sheets. My sisters are helping me out because of how behind I got. So I really appreciate them and their hard work. Yeah, I will hopefully post it soon. The waitlist on my TikTok does not work. If you try to post it straight from the TikTok, you sometimes have my at Dr. Basanafi on there. So you have to take that out and make sure you post it in the URL bar up top, and then it should go. If not, just send me a message and I can send it to you. You're very welcome, Fatima. Can we join the virtual rounds tomorrow, even if I'm not going tomorrow? So if you're asking if you can join the live session, yes, it's not going to be restricted to anybody. Just you can always just go onto my YouTube and join in while it's being live streamed. Everybody has the same case though, so I don't know if it's going to be super helpful because by the time you go, you're going to know kind of all the discussion anyways. And so it might take away from what you're supposed to learn during your live session. And honestly, like I want you guys to get away from the idea that you need to have the right answer, you need to have the right diagnosis. I would rather all of you have the wrong answer during this and learn from it, because that's when you're actually going to learn. If you have the right answer the whole time and you know because you watched the case, well, you're not doing yourself any favors. So it's better to struggle through this and learn than get the right answer and not really learn. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, so the YouTube live link will be in the Google Classroom at the time I stream. It's going to stream, so just keep an eye out there. But honestly, just go to my YouTube page and it should be present there. I think it's gonna be a public stream, so it shouldn't matter. If you guys go to my YouTube now, it should still be streaming. It'll be the same process of getting there. Honestly, just so the question is if I advise people to learn Spanish if they can. You don't have to know medical terms. I didn't know any medical terms. I knew some, but I didn't know most of them. And you kind of pick it up along the way. Most patients will appreciate you trying to speak Spanish, and they will help you as well. And you can always kind of talk around what it is you're trying to say. So if you don't know the name, how to say gallbladder in Spanish, you can kind of point to it and say, describe what it is, and most people will give you the right term. How am I overall? It's not terrible. Depending on where you are, I think it's worse than like other places. I mean, we're in residency, we're expected to do work and to work hard. So it's stressful with the risk, but as long as you're supported, I think you generally have an easier time. Luckily, right now, it's not overwhelming as far as like where the hospitals are and everything like that, but it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks what's going to happen with everything opening up. So we just keep an eye on it and we do our best and go from there. You guys doing okay with where you guys are at? I know a lot of places throughout the country are probably hit a little bit harder than others. So hopefully you guys are all keeping safe and healthy. Yeah, there's a lot of people at the beach, but you know, I think the downside of this is that it's almost a 2-week cycle between waves of COVID. So, we're going to be seeing the social distancing and the tactics that happened 2 weeks ago, and 2 weeks from now we might be seeing how it is. So, with the whole beaches and Memorial Day and all that. So we'll see how it is, and hopefully it's not as bad as we anticipate. But yeah, you guys all stay safe. The prisons in my state got pretty hard, so my hospital's been inundated with prisoner patients. That is interesting. Christiane, if there's any articles that you have about that, can you send them to me? I want to read a little bit more about that. I think a lot of people in a lot of places are a little bit more comfortable with the pandemic now. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully, some of the models that have been put out show that things have been okay after opening up, but I think more time needs to be given before we're actually able to say that the precautions after opening up are actually working. So as far as experiences on your application, be direct and don't try to make it like flowery writing, like to make it sound nice. Honestly, just be as direct as possible. A lot of people have a ton of experiences, and programs don't want to read through, that like a ton of writing just to get like the 1 or 2 sentences about what you did. It's a lot better to be direct and talk about what you did and how it impacted you and how you grew from it. So I hope that helps. Yeah. And honestly, like we have to be as careful as you can. You can only do so much for yourself and your community, but if it gets better, it gets better. If it doesn't, we learn from it. But you guys stay safe. Yeah, I think testing needs to be a bit better too. There's still shortages in a lot of different areas, so I think the only way to reopen is to test a lot. That, and we eventually have like a way to treat. Okay, all right, guys, it's been good. I had a lot of fun talking to you all, and I will see you guys tomorrow and on Sunday. So, bye, everybody.